What's up everybody, welcome back. So I want to do a little mini series about impact decals and setting up physical materials so you can have different impacts for different materials. And I'm also going to show you how you can smoothly fade them out and how you can set the fade out distance for when you're walking away from them. And then for the next video I want to do like flash wounds, so attach them to a character where you have impact decals, and then also blood splatter FX and like bullet penetration. If you shoot an enemy that's close to the wall, you get a nice satisfying blood splatter on the wall. So those are the few things I want to cover in this series, so let's get started. So first of all, to set this up, you need some impact decals, obviously. So you need some materials for that. And I also added the starter content. So I have some materials for wood and rocks and things like that. And for the decals, I use a marketplace pack, but it's not free. So you might just want to get some textures from internet or whatever, as long as you have some decals available. So first you need to set up physical materials. So you're going to go to edit project settings, and then you want to go to physics. And if you scroll all the way down, then you can add custom surface types. So I've added 3 of them: metal, rock and wood, simply because I have FX for those. So I'm also going to add FX later. So these are the ones I set up. You can simply add names and then you can close the project settings. And the next thing you want to do is create physical materials for them. So you're going to right click in the content browser and go to physics and then create a physical material. And then you can simply select physical material and select it. So create one for all of the physical materials that you entered in the project settings. So I added metal, rock and wood. And after that, when you open them up, you can set the surface type over here. And there you want to set the surface type so that it matches. So you have 3 different physical materials. If you have that set up, then you want to go to the actual material folder. So I'm going to go to my starter content materials, and I picked 3 of them where I assigned them. So the steel one, the rock one and the wood one. So I'm going to open one of those materials, and then you want to assign the physical material over here on the left. So you're going to set the metal one to metal and the rock one to rock, etc. So that's where you define what physical material is going to be registered when an actor with this material is hit. So that's how you set that up. Once you have that done, then you are going to create a function in your character so you can get the correct decal. So let's go to the first person character. And I have created a function in here, and that's the GetImpactDecal function. And for this I have added an input, and that's an ePhysical surface. So that's an enumeration, ePhysical surface, and I've named it SurfaceType. And you also want to add an output, and I use a material instance. So you can use materials and also material instances. So I use the material interface, So you can just look for material interface and select this one. And that's my decal result. So I've promoted this to a local variable, and that's my selected decal. And then I simply made arrays for each of the surface types. And those are local variables as well, because we only need them in this function. So I made one for the default impact if there's no physical material set up, and then for the 3 ones that we created. And these are just arrays of, again, material interfaces, and in those arrays I've stored all of the different decals I have available for that surface type, so we can get a bit of randomization. And after that you can simply get a switch on ePhysical surface node, and then you can drag off each of these pins, and I get a random index from the array over here. So get random integer, and then get the length from the array and subtract one of it and plug that into the max pin. And you're going to store that in the selected decal, so that way we have a little bit of variation. And then you're going to do that for all of the surface types. So that's the GetImpactDecal function. And then if I go back to the first person character, you're gonna add it to your fire event. So this is getting a bit messy, but we're not gonna get into cleaning this up right now. So by the way, I'm using my first person character tutorial. If you join the Discord, you can get this project for free, and I also have a tutorial on my YouTube channel where you can create this project with procedural ADS and procedural recoil and things like that. So it's a pretty cool project. But get back to the impact decals. So let me get back to this. You probably have a multicast event somewhere if you're making a multiplayer game. And in that multicast event, you fire off your impact FX and your muzzle flash, maybe things like that. So for this previously, we passed on the impact point and the impact normal into this event. But from now on, I'm just going to pass the entire hit result. So just get the hit result from your line trace or from your projectile. And you're going to pass that on to the multicast event that handles the FX and things like that. And then at the end, I'm going to create a decal in here. So if you go to the hit result and you break it, then from the physics material over here, you can drag off and you can get the surface type. So you want to get surface type. And then that's the enumeration that you're going to use to switch on. So plug that into the GetImpactDecal function that we just created. And after that, you can get a result from this function, drag off it, and you want to create a dynamic material instance. And from the result of that instance, you're going to spawn a decal at location. And for the location, you can use the hit result again. So go back to the hit result, get the impact normal and the impact point. And you want to plug those into the spawn decal. So I randomized the size of the decal using a random float in range and plugged it into the decal size. And for the lifespan, I'm going to leave it at 0 right now. So we're going to add a bit of stuff later so we can fade them out and things like that. So right now we should at least have a decal working based on the materials that we're firing at. And I also added a little print at the top so you can see what material we're actually hitting. So this is the default material. And there we have our metal and the rock impacts. So you can see they are different from each other. And you have the wood impacts. So that's working. Now talk about the FadeScreenSize. So if you back off, you can see the decals disappear. And that works a bit better if I shoot at a vertical plane. So if I back off, you can see they disappear at a certain distance and they come back. So you can control that by setting this FadeScreenSize. So if you use the SetFadeScreenSize node, you can drag off the decal that's spawned and plug it into the target. And over here you can set the new FadeScreenSize. So this is something like the pixels in relation to the resolution of the screen or something. I'm really not sure, to be honest. But it's a pretty small number. So if I'm gonna put it at 0.05, so the decals are really small. So if I fire right now, you can see they stay visible much longer, and I have to back up much further for them to disappear. So you can control the set fade screen size to make sure they disappear at a nice range. And then we also have a fade out node we can use. So we have a lifespan over here and we can set it to something like 2 seconds. But then the decal is simply going to be deleted instantly. So that looks a bit weird. So this is how that'll look. So we're going to fade them out nice and easily. And to do that, we need to actually change the decal material. So you probably have some master materials for your decals. So if I look at the decals that I used, so I used the metal solid one. If I open this up, there's a parent material over here. So you want to make sure you look at the parent materials, and if you open those up, you are going to add a DecalLifetimeOpacity node, and you want to plug that into the opacity channel. So before this was linked up with this result from the previous multiply just directly into the opacity channel. And I got a DecalLifetimeOpacity node, got an extra multiply node and plugged in both of them, and then you're going to plug those into the opacity channel again. So that's how you can modify the material. Now we need to save it again. That's going to take a bit of time, so there we go. And there could be multiple master materials, obviously, so make sure you got everything covered over there. And once you have that node set up, then you can use the SetFadeOut node. And if you plug in the decal from the spawn decal at location, then you can smoothly fade it out, so you can get a delay before it starts fading out, and then the duration of the fade. And for this you can also destroy the owner after fade, so you can leave that ticked. And then if we delete the lifespan over here, so set this back to 0, then we are going to have a nice smooth fade out at the end. So if we fire now, it's going to take a little bit of time. And there we go, nice and smooth. So that's working as well. So that's pretty much how you can set up pretty basic decals and then switch them on the surface type. And you can do the same thing for the ImpactFX, obviously. So I created the similar function for my ImpactFX. And if I hook this up before I spawn my ImpactFX, then we can also switch that. And you can use it obviously for things like impact sounds or footsteps, all those kinds of things. So get creative. So right now I'm also spawning different ImpactFX materials or particle systems based on the cube that I'm shooting. So we have a wood one, a rock one, and a metal one. So that's how you can set them up to work in the same way. So for now I think we got everything pretty much covered, and we're gonna go back to the flash impacts for the next video, and then also look at blood splatter effects and things like that. So thanks for watching everybody, talk to you later.